his son. It's a parable of a father who loves his son and a son who loves his father. Do we love our fathers? Yes. And so every day a father would go to school to pick up his son, and his son would be excited. His son would be excited. He's like a dog. You know, when a dog sees his master and the master's come home, my sister's shaking her head. You don't have a dog, so you can't tell me what this looks like. And what does the dog do? He's super happy. The dog is super happy. My master's back. And so the son is excited because he sees his father. And the father would come to school and he'll pick him up and he'll ask the son, son, do you want to come to work with me? Do you want to come to work with me? And the son would be like, yeah, I want to come and work with my father. And he was super excited. And you know it's going to be a long story, so try and listen. I'm going to be quick. And he would, you know, he would be the happiest kid ever because he knew that today he was going to be with his dad. And so they would start this long journey. They would start this long journey to work. And you got to understand that this boy, he was different. This boy, he was different. He would see things that other people didn't see. He wasn't normal. And like I tell my little brother sometimes, Johnny, you're not normal. But that's not, I really mean like in this case. He wasn't normal. He would notice things that others wouldn't notice. He was attentive. He would see things others wouldn't see. As they walked to work, he would see a man in a bathroom robe. And this man is yelling at a second-story window at a woman. And the woman is angry. And she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to hear it. And she doesn't want to listen. And the boy would think, as the world hustles by, he would stop. And he would think, you know, what's going on? Why is there a problem? Why is the woman hurting? And he would feel, can I stop her pain? Can I ease his anger? So the boy would see things and stop. And his father, being a loving father, would say, come on, let's go. We got to go. Leave those crazy people. Let's go. No, the father was, you know, he was concerned and he'd be like, let's go. And he would stop and the boy would stop. The boy would look back one more time and he would wonder, can I stop his pain? Can I stop her hurting? But the boy loved his father. The boy would catch the train with the father. Everybody say train. And so they would jump on the train and the boy would notice people again. And you got to understand there's a train that is coming and we're getting there. And this boy, he would get on the train and he would see people. He would notice people. And at one stage, he would see a man who's on the phone talking to someone next to a woman. The woman's angry. The woman's sad. The man's happy. And the boy didn't understand that how can a person be in love with someone and one be happy and the other one be sad? And the boy was just concerned. He had this natural instinct of looking at people and feeling their pain, feeling their hurt. And he cared for people, but he cared for none other more than his father. And he knew that his daddy loved him. He knew that he would always have a father. They get off the train and they start walking. They had to go on this trail in the woods to get to where the father worked. And he would be holding his father's hands and he would be asking his father, Father, what am I going to do when I go older? What am I going to do? Am I going to get a cool job like yours? I don't know what I want to do, but I want to change the world. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to help people, Father. And his father would look at him and say, son, you're awesome. Son, you're going to change the world. Son, you're going to impact every single person. So enter the train. There's a train that is coming. There's a train that is coming. And that train is called life. We're all on this train called life, whether we realize it or not, whether we know the truth or not. I hope that woke us up. Thanks for that. Whether we realize it or not, we're on this train called life. And so when they get off the bridge, when they get off the train, they're walking. He wants to be like the father. He wants to make a difference. They would come to a bridge. And the bridge was very important. See, boats needed to pass under the bridge to get to the harbor, to sell their goods, to make an income. And at the same time, there was a train that went across the bridge, right? And so that's the situation. And so this was a folding bridge. And so when the boats needed to come under, the bridge will need to go up. So the bridge will need to go up and the boats will go through. You got to understand, this was very important. This was what the father did. He loved his job. And there's the train coming, because people are going from work to work. You got to understand that this boy loved going to work with his father. And the father told him one important thing. The father told him, you have to stay in this window. So when they get to work, the father told him, you stay in this window where I can see you. Because the father wanted to be able to see his son as he worked. So as timing is very essential for the father's job. So he can't keep his eye on the boy all the time. And so the father had to watch the world. He had to watch his son. The father had to watch what the boy was doing, and he had to watch. In this instance, I'm going to tell you about a light. There's always a light. This is a light that the conductor must see. And so as the train comes and the bridge is about to be raised up, the father has to press a button which will give the light, the signal, to go red, so that the train would stop, right? Are we on the same page? So the train would stop and the boats can go to harbor. There's a light, and the father had to press this light so that it could go red. And eventually he did. He pressed the light. And I just want to share that God has given us lights in our lives as well. God has put a light in our lives. And these lights may be rules, there may be instructions, things that we shouldn't cross, places that we shouldn't go. And it can be black and white, it can be red for stop and green for go. But God has given us this light that we should follow. And they tell us what we can do and what we can't do, and it's for our own protection. And so this one time, the boat calls. So the boat calls, and he says to the conductor, the father, I'm coming in, I'm ready to come in. And so there was plenty of time. And so the father is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do this thing. He presses the red light, and the signal comes on for the train to stop. And he cranks the gears. He starts the steam, and so this big bridge starts to raise and starts to go higher and higher. And he looks outside, and he can see his son. And he looks, and he can see the boat. And so he's like, cool, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And what you're going to understand is that the father, no matter what's going on, he's got one eye on his son, and he's got one eye on his word. No matter where you have been, no matter what you have done, the father's got one eye on the world, and he's got one eye on his sons. No matter what you're doing, he keeps his eye on you. You see, this particular day, the train was early. The train was early. He had missed the light. The train driver had missed the light. And so there's all these people on the train just living their lives, just being there, being merry, being happy, wondering what they're going to eat for lunch, wondering where they're going to go after this, where their destination is going to be. They don't know that the train conductor has missed the light. They don't know that their lives are going to end. But the boy, he's there fishing. He loves fishing. And he hears, because he's outside, he hears the train coming. He sees the train coming, and it's very close. And he says, Daddy, 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 the train. Daddy, Daddy, the train. The train is coming. Daddy, the train is coming. His dad was busy checking that the oil was enough. He was checking that there was enough steam so that the bridge could be able to come down safely. He was making sure that there was enough steam for everything to go. But the boy knew one thing. The father had told him where the lever was that would manually bring the bridge down. And so the son goes. The son has to make a choice. And so he decides, I'm gonna take action. The son decides, I'm gonna take action. And he goes and he reaches the lever. And as he pulls it, he was in a little compartment that was on the ground. He falls in. Because the son knew there were people to be saved, and he didn't think about his life. He didn't think about his own life. He just wanted to save people's lives. And so he pulls the lever and he falls in. And the father does his routine checks. He looks up and he notices something's off and he starts panicking, fear. He starts panicking because he can't see his son. He's like, my son, he's seeing his son as he's about to save the world. And he says, my son. But on the other hand, he sees that the train is about to collide. And so he decides, am I going to save my son or am I going to save the train? Am I going to save my son or am I going to save the train? The son decided already that he was going to save the train. See, John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that whosoever believed in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. He did not send his son to condemn the world, but that through his son they may be saved. Now, for us who are on the train, the bridge came down, the son saved the day, but the son died. The son died for the people on the train. And I just want to remind you that the son was also on the same train that you and me were on. And I'm just finishing up. The son was also on the same train that you and me were on. So there's no way any of us can say that he wasn't there. He wasn't experiencing the same thing that we experienced. He was there, and he decided to save us. And I just want to ask you a question. What do you think about, the father who loves his son so much at that moment when he realized that his son decided to save the world and die? When Jesus on the cross takes his last breath and says, Father, it is finished. I've done your will. I've lived up to your expectation. What kind of faith does the Father have? And I think as the train passed, the people in the train at some point in their lives are going to have an opportunity to come face to face with a father who loves his son so much that he sent him to die. And when you do that, I hope that your heart can be moved, that you can live a life that is full, that is purposeful, a life that's worth the price of the son. I'm going to sing our last thing.
If you'd like to send those things to you. 400 is what and Jesus. Amen. Just a reminder that we should always